What's going on? How are you? I see Shonda out there. How's everything? What's going on? Thanks for coming back. I appreciate you. Welcome on into the 411 podcast. Tonight, we have very special guest, De LaShawn Bordeaux. Speaking of her last name, Bordeaux, there's a wine. I'm not quite sure if anybody is familiar with that, but the wine connoisseur that I am, I can only relate it to music, wine, but yeah, De LaShawn Bordeaux is coming in the building tonight. And the theme of tonight and the theme that's been going on in general is basically love. So if anybody is in love tonight and have been in love for a minute, just want to say congratulations because it ain't easy. Relationships and even friendships in general, basically showing love is a daily task that we continuously need to work on. It's give and take. What you put out there is what you get. So today I choose love regardless of the situation. You ain't got to love me the way that I love you, but at the end of the day, I know that I love myself. So either way around, I'm just giving off vibes of love. So um, the king, I'm gonna just call you the king. What's your name? My name is Laren Gaines. I'm not quite sure why you don't know that, but um, yes, my name is Laren Gaines, self-published author and live streaming podcaster of the 411 podcast. So Shonda says in love and married for 24 years. That's what's up. That's good. Congratulations on that. My thing is, when it comes to love, the same way that you found that person is the same way that you have to keep them. So you learn over a period of time when things break down and things don't end up working out the way that they should, or that maybe you have hoped them to work out. But then sometimes you got to do that self reflection and say, okay, what part did I play in? Have I been doing everything that I've been doing in the beginning to keep this thing going strong? Because there's always ups and downs, and that's in everything, friendship, everything in general. That's what's up, CJ. Thank you for hanging out there on TikTok. So, with that, sometimes when you're in love, right? Maybe y'all might not live together. Maybe y'all might be miles apart. Who knows? But sometimes it can be some lonely moments. So, song of the day, I just thought about it. Lonely Days, Genuine. I thought, like, man, who didn't love Genuine back in the day? And did Genuine basically give you those hits, give you those songs to give you what you need to give to somebody else? Like, listen, I can't say it, so I'm gonna just play this record here. Listen to this song. I remember Genuine, so many different records. I remember that first. Who doesn't know the first album with Pony? But once you get past all of that, because yeah, Pony, everybody knows that. But once you get past that, there were some real deep songs, and Genuine even continued to speak about real love. And nowadays, we don't really hear that type of stuff. We don't hear men really speaking about going through some real life situations. The ladies, you're always out there. I'm not going to say complaining, but you're putting yourself out there, of course. The women have been doing it for years. But when I listened to The Bachelor, I was like, Genuine was really letting people know what it's like for when the men are really in love. And anybody who's in love, they want to share something with their significant other. Dust off that Bachelor album, 1996, Lonely Days. Sometimes we got to make up for those lonely days. We got to make up for the time that we are apart. But when we get together, it's gonna be magic. I'm just saying, it is what it is. Now, I want to say thank you so much to everybody out there. Last night, Facebook, y'all did the thing. I don't know what happened. I don't know where everything came from, where that energy came from. But last night, Facebook, y'all really did it. So I definitely have to say thank you so much to people out there on Facebook. We have French here. Frenchie, I don't know why I apologize for that, but it's French here. Gardner came on last night. What a wonderful show. It's like back to back to back, nothing but the ladies coming through and blowing down the doors. Crazy. The past 3 days has been amazing, and tonight's going to be another great one. I can feel the energy level already. But go ahead and check out that replay. It was amazing last night. Sheila Brown, thank you so much. I believe she has a book out as well. Y'all go ahead and check her out at Queendom Queer. Hopefully, I said that right, because Angela, my friend Angela, I want to say what's up. Lachelle Williams, all the way from the ATL. Thank you so much. And Miss SOS, thank you all so much for coming through on the page. I appreciate you. For Shayla Jules, Switch Thrift Clothing Company, Miss Rebel Jewel, and my friend Bethany Trent, all the way from California. And then we have Carol Cordera, beautiful soul. She is from Florida. Thank you so much. And I want to give a very special shout out to Miss Liz. She has a podcast called Coffee and Convos with Liz. And I actually had the chance to be on her show. So please go ahead and support that podcast. She's definitely doing her thing. Thank you for supporting me on Facebook and Instagram as well. So now here comes the moment. I told y'all that this is really nothing to play with. More powerhouse coming in, more deep conversations coming in, more real talk coming in. This is like day 3 of keeping it real. And here we go. So with that, we need to know, how hard is it for you to tell somebody, this ain't working no more. This relationship that we had in the beginning, it's not working. Whatever happened, remember we talked about what we got to do in the beginning to keep that person. Sometimes there's some breakdowns and there's some shakeups and there's some upsets in the situation. And when that happens, is it hard for you to tell somebody to open up and communicate and say, listen, this thing that's going on right here, this no longer serves me anymore. This no longer feeds my soul. I'm not happy and I'm not feeling this situation. Is it hard for you to tell people straight up that this thing isn't really working for me anymore? And I think that communication is so key. And everybody talks about, oh, you got to communicate and you got to communicate and you got to communicate. And it's easy for somebody to say, I do, I do, I do, I do. But I guess the ultimate thing of communication is when that person comes to you and they speak to you and they tell you something that you don't like to hear, that it doesn't fit well in your soul, you don't like it, what is the reaction? If you can sit calm, cool, and collect yourself and collect your thoughts, maybe you might need to take it back. Maybe you might need to take some notes. Maybe you might need to sleep on it. But I always thought that I was the king of communication just because I was the one that was always bringing it up. Like, oh, we going to talk today. We going to have a conversation today. I was always the person bringing it up, and therefore the other person really wasn't communicating with me properly. It was also probably one-sided too, because if I'm bringing something to you, I still have to have the last word. So that's not communication either. Real communication is sometimes it's just listening and not trying to figure it out and make it work your way. Somebody has an opinion, you may not agree with it, but you need to ask yourself, so how can I make this thing work? There needs to be some compromise in this situation. But sometimes you can't compromise. You just don't see eye to eye. It's just not working for you anymore. So when that happens, is it hard for you to tell somebody, no, this ain't working? Chris says, for me, it's a tad bit difficult working on being better at that. Comprehension goes a long way. Sometimes, and it wasn't easy, because I'm telling you, my blood will boil over, like the pot would just run over. It was hard for me to sit and listen, but the more that I sat and I listened and I shut up and I listen to what the person said, I was able to figure it out. Because most of the time, when you start running back and you have to fire back and have to have an answer for everything, you're not listening to what the person says, but you're trying to think of a comeback after they get finished talking and this, that, the next, the other. Yeah, it could be a little difficult. But with that, sometimes all of this stuff can be avoided. We go all of these things, we put ourselves through these things, we take ourselves through this drama. But then you have to ask yourself, what for? Because had I had a little bit level of standards, had I raised my level of standards of what I want in a relationship, maybe this situation wouldn't happen. Maybe we wouldn't be going down this path. Had I set these expectations, and I know that that's a tough word. When you're in a relationship, when you're in a friendship, it's hard to use that word expectations, but sometimes you really need to set these expectations from day one. And it's like, listen here, that right there, I don't appreciate that. And if that continues, we're going to have a problem. And that's cool because, we could be good at setting these expectations. But then what happens when somebody fails you and things don't go well? Do you stick to your guns? And do you say, well, listen, we had this conversation. You crossed the line. I'm out. Or do you back up? Do you draw that line in the sand again and allow them to mess up again? And allow them to mess up again, mess up again. What's going on, Bethany? How are you? If you find yourself backing up, taking somebody back 1,000 times, you don't have a very good level, a high enough level of standards for yourself. Like standards, you got to have a good level. It's a good level quality of what you feel. What do you want to obtain? And if you letting somebody cross the line 1,000 times, you already know that your standards are not where they need to be. And if you going back and forth with people and you're having an issue and you can't find no happiness, you can't find no peace, you can't find no compromise, you might need to go back and think about your level of standards, what you have, the expectations that you set in the beginning. Hey, it's life. We live and we learn. What are your levels of standards like today? High, low, medium, what would you say? How many times do you give somebody an opportunity to cross the line? Once, twice, three? I mean, listen, sometimes people make a mistake, right? You might need to give them another chance. Or have you been through so much stuff in your life that you can't do it no more? One thing that really I have a problem with is when you've been through something and you confide in somebody and you tell them, listen, I'm feeling you. I like what we got going on. This is what happened to me in my past. That's in the past. I'm just letting you know. Please don't do anything like that because then it could be a problem. And then people take that information that you give them and they try to use it against you later on down the road. I don't know if anybody ever witnessed anything like that before, but once that happens, that's ultimate. You got to have some high level of standards and say, absolutely not, because I done told you about this and you went ahead and you tried to do it again anyway. And that same thing that you're doing is reminding me of something from the past, pulling up some bad situations, and it's just not going to end well. Hmm. I'm just saying, had to go down memory lane a little bit. It's crazy how we can start with being in love, and then we can go through some stuff, and then we end up not being in love. It's always cool in the beginning, but then somewhere along the line, some things just don't end up working out well. And remember that song, and remember that movie. There's a very thin line between love and hate. It's crazy how you can be so in love one day and then you can't stand the person the next. You need to be careful about that. Make sure that those standards are high. Make sure you are picking the right people. Make sure you ain't drawing that line in the sand, backing up 1,000 times so you don't have that situation. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to the 411.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
So now I have a question for you.
Okay.
I don't mean to be intrusive, but are you in a relationship?
I'm not in a relationship, but I am dating.
Okay. Well, this is just perfect for me. So, um, since you're dating now, I'm sure you've dated before in the past. I'm sure you've had some great ones. I'm sure you've had some, not so great ones. How are your standard levels these days?
These days, they are a lot better. They used to be kind of low. I have a lot of things to go on without having the strength to walk away. But I had to learn what my standards are. And I no longer call them standards, I call them requirements.
That's a good word. Requirements.
I call them requirements. You have to meet these certain requirements, or it absolutely will not work. And I've learned that if it's not going to work, I would rather cut my ties ahead of time instead of staying and allowing my feelings to get hurt later.
Here's one thing that I learned recently, which I did not know. I learned that basically within the first 2 years that you're dating somebody, the mind actually experienced something that would be equivalent to someone taking drugs. So they say that you probably really shouldn't make any permanent commitments. You probably shouldn't really make any, just be very cautious within the first 2 years because you can make a mistake. Because after the 2 years is over, you get into the third year, that's when reality hits. And then you could be looking at somebody like, what did I get in myself into? Why did I commit to you? Why did I even marry you? Because after the 2 years, that chemical that is released in the brain when you're all in love and you're all just so about somebody starts to fade away about year three.
I actually agree with that. I've I've been married before, and I would say it was after those first few years where things just began to look different. It was after that, I guess you say that lovey-dovey phase passed,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was looking like, uh-oh,
You,
is
you,
this
you,
really what I got myself into?
now you know you ain't say those words because I know you what you said because you listen. I can relate.
There was, yeah, so a lot of choice words in there.
The little couple WTFs like what the did I get myself into?
And
Do,
how do I get myself out of it?
do I jump out the window and just end it all now or no? I'm just
And that is a hard thing. But like you said, you have to have standards, and you have to know what your standards are ahead of time and pay attention to those red flags. Sometimes we are so in the lovey-dovey phase that we don't even pay attention to the red
mm,
flags when they're showing themselves, and we
yeah.
bypass every standard we had.
I've had enough time to sit back and reminisce on my past situations, and I'll be like, now you know that wasn't right because you saw that right there. You knew that that person was crazy when you first started dating, and this happened and that happened, and it's just I get it now. But here's the thing: don't anybody act like you're perfect. Everybody is crazy. Everybody has their little thing. But the bottom line is, can your crazy get along with my crazy, and can we make it work and have some sort of normalcy? Because everybody has a level of crazy.
Right. Very, very true.
You gotta you gotta know what your
It's
crazy
just how
is,
crazy are you?
and you gotta know what your crazy is, and you gotta know what your triggers are, and what type of people you can't be around, what you can't attract, and what you can't do, and all of that great stuff.
Yep, and that's the same whether it's with relationships or friendships,
Oh yeah,
even with family members.
oh yeah, yeah. Some
It's
fa-
it's the same.
some family members I don't even speak to. I ain't got nothing
Same
against you.
here.
I ain't got nothing against you. Hey, what's up? What's good? And I just keep it moving. Like,
Same here. It's my piece.
so we have Miss De LaShawn Bordeaux in the building tonight. What a great last name too. I wanted to tell you that there's a Bordeaux grape. I do reading between the wines. So have you heard that growing up?
So I got the last name from Mary, but I have heard about the Bordeaux wine and Bordeaux France. So people always bring up both of those whenever they hear my name.
Oh, that's so interesting. I did not know that it originated from France.
Yes.
Hmm, interesting. We have mad love for France on the 411 podcast. Shout out to France. Definitely have to put that out there. So, self love coach, how did that come about?
So I became a self-love coach. It actually started because I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. Um, After being a survivor, I realized that the after effects of sexual abuse are very dramatic and long term, and no one is really working on how to overcome it. We want to talk about making sure that we get the victims the support and the help they need after being a victim of sexual assault, but we never talk about how to help them on the long road. So I became a self love coach to help survivors, to help them find that beauty that is beneath their pain, that hurt, to help them get back out there and really just take life over again. Don't allow your power to be taken away from you, but take your power back.
Hmm.
So we focus on things like self awareness. What are the some of the traits that you keep in your head that's preventing you from moving forward? As victims, we kind of stay in a victim mentality, and sometimes we're not willing to put forth the effort to work. So we have to make sure we are aware of our toxic traits and our limiting beliefs and how to overcome them. We also work on confidence, rebuilding that confidence after being a sexual assault victim, how to forgive. And when I say forgive, I don't mean just forgiving the predator. That takes time. But we have to learn to forgive ourselves because we take accountability for sexual assault as if we caused it on ourselves when really it's not our fault. And sometimes that's hard for survivors to accept. So we work on learning how to forgive ourselves and understanding it's not our fault. And then our last thing is, and they hate this word, everybody hates this word, accountability. How can we overcome what we've been through if we're not held accountable? We can tell you to go to a therapist every day. You can come see me every day, every week, every month. But if you're not doing the work, it's never going to work. And
Hmm.
so those are just some of the things I go over and how it started, just being a survivor myself and learning to redefine my beauty that lies beneath my pain, help me help other people.
Wow. I give you so much credit for sharing your story. Your story is going to help so many different people, and I'm sure it's helping so many people. People who watch the replay, who come across anybody watching this that knows that someone who went through some of the same similar situations could relate to this, please definitely get this out to them as well. Um,
Mhm.
Now, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult. Is this something that happened many years ago? Was it in your adult, teen, child?
It actually happened between the ages of 14 and 18. I'm now 35. I really didn't start to deal with it until I was 25 when I
Okay.
reported it. And I reported it, I actually didn't get the outcome I expected. And so when I didn't get the outcome I expected, that just kind of added trauma to the trauma I had already experienced. I felt betrayed by the courts. I felt betrayed by the predator. I felt betrayed by a lot of people because I didn't understand that there was a possibility that I may not have got the outcome I wanted. And nobody ever goes over that with victims. So I started, it happened between 14 and 18. I spoke up at 25. And then within the last few years, I became an advocate and started a nonprofit to help other survivors.
That is amazing. So, what is the nonprofit called?
Speak our truth. I want to encourage people to tell a story. You never know how your story may help someone else. So our nonprofit is called Speak Our Truth, and we encourage survivors to speak up about their sexual abuse.
Now, as you started this whole process, I'm sure you felt a certain way afterwards. I'm sure there was some sort of relief. Maybe there was you were scared when you first started the nonprofit and everything, and when you came into being a coach. And what year was that? When did you start that?
I became a coach during the pandemic in 2020. I started the nonprofit in 2018.
Okay. So from 2018 to now, how would you describe the difference between when you first started versus now?
Woo! A lot of healing. When I first started in 2018, having an organization, it was just like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I started as a blog, just kind of writing my story, telling people what I've been through, and hoping that it would help someone. As I started the organization, I would say that's when I really began to feel the effects of my trauma. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I had been a victim. I dealt with the surface level of it, but never really dealt with, below the surface. So as I started the organization, and of course, as I'm doing things for other survivors and I'm speaking to them, I began to get triggered more. And as I began to be triggered more, it
Mm-hmm.
really kind of put me in a place where I had to go within and deal with how I was really feeling. I had to feel those emotions. I had to allow myself to cry. I had to allow myself to be angry. I had to tell myself, again, after all these years, that it's not my fault. And I had every right to feel the way I felt. And then after I began to experience it and feel those feelings, and I was like, okay, I don't want to stay here too long because I'm depressed. What can I do to get me out this rut? What is going to help me feel better? What's going to take me to that next level instead of just being stagnant in this place? And that's kind of when I started doing the coaching. And I was like, okay, well, now to add to it, because I know what I've been through, I can say I'm a coach and how to help others.
Mm. Very powerful. Very powerful. We have De LaShawn Bordeaux in the building tonight. I have plenty more questions to ask, but right now, I want you to go ahead and let everyone know where they can follow you at. If you're on any other social media platforms, I know you have a website, so go ahead and take it away.
Yes, you can find me on the website, which is www.speakourtruth.org. Or you can find me on Instagram under DeLaShawn.Bordeaux or Speak Our Truth. Both of them are on there, depending if you want to follow the coaching or the
Yeah.
advocacy page. And then I'm also on Facebook under DeLaShawn Bordeaux and Speak Our Truth.
Very good.
So
Very
we're all over all social medias under both pages. It just really depends on what you're looking for.
okay. So now, Speak Our Truth, nonprofit organization. What are some things that people can get out of there?
Group coaching. We do monthly group coaching where we discuss things like boundaries, triggers, how to cope with toxic family members. That was the one we
Mm,
did during the holidays because, of course, whew, we all have crazy family that we have to deal with during that time.
mm-hmm.
So we do group coaching, we do one-on-one coaching. We also do advocacy as far as if you want someone to go to report with you, we'll go with
Mm,
you. If you want someone to go to court with you, we'll support you and go to court with you. Along with that, we also refer out. We don't do it just yet as we are working on our qualifications, but we do refer out to other organizations if you need someone to go with you for the forensic exam, which is done right
ooh.
after a sexual assault is done so that they can collect any evidence needed.
That is so powerful too. You just said so many things that I want to make sure I touch base on them. I want to back up. Um, you said boundaries, which is very important. And before I get into this, the group setting, how many people are in these group settings?
So
Just an
far, we've
estimate.
done like two or three, and then we also go live on Facebook. And the reason we go live on Facebook, sometimes people can't attend, but they want to be a part.
Mm,
So we were going live on Facebook. That way, people can just kind of see what we're doing and participate. We are going to move a portion of it to Zoom, so
mm,
it's more closed off and private for the other survivors
right,
who want to attend on social. I mean, on via Zoom.
right. You talked about boundaries. You talk about trigger points, which are so amazing. I'm like so like into the triggers and knowing what makes someone upset, what makes someone react to certain things. That's very important as well. And the fact that you do it in a group setting, which lets people know, hey, listen, I've been there too. I'm going through this situation too. I think that is so important. So everyone, please go ahead and support Speak Our Truth. How can we support? What can we do?
Oh, you can visit the website and donate. You have two options. We have an Amazon list where you can select any of the items from the Amazon list and send them to us, and they'll be used to put in our storehouse. That way, when we have displaced victims, we can give them like a little baggie that
Mm.
comes with toothpaste, toothbrush, clean underwear, tights, things like that that they may need. Or you can donate actual monetary gifts online as well. Just hit the donate button; it'll take you straight to the link. If you're in DFW, we could also use your support. April 23rd, we are having our second annual charity event. So we love to have people come and participate. That's going to be a wonderful resource fair for survivors as well as supporters of survivors.
Now, I can't even believe I didn't even ask this question, but I didn't get into where you were actually calling from because that's very important for people who may want to help support as well.
Yes, I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Uh, okay.
Dallas, Fort Worth, and I'm also virtually. I am taking clients out of the New Orleans and Baton Rouge area, but in person we are out of Dallas, Fort Worth.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So go ahead and let them know one more time because, again, your cause is so important. You have to get this word out. You really have to continue to let people know over and over and over again. And I want to talk about, what happens, God forbid something does happen. What are those steps? So after you let them know, again, we'll get into the steps of after something happens because that's very important because if those steps, the proper steps are not followed, it could, you know, mess things up, so to speak.
I would always say immediately after an assault happens, you have to kind of decide what you want to do. Are you looking to report or are you not looking to report? Because there is a certain time frame of actually collecting evidence, which is 48 hours. So if you do decide that you would like to have a forensic exam that needs to be done within 48 hours, if you're not going to do a forensic exam and there's evidence on your underwear, I would advise you to keep that so that if you report later, maybe they can use it. Evidence is always helpful. After you do the forensic exam, you'll have someone there. Usually there's an advocate who's present, at least in DFW. There's an advocate who's present with you, and then they do bring in an officer who will speak to you. If you report immediately. Say you don't report immediately, then usually what you do is you have to contact um, the sex crime victim line. And once you do, then an officer will call you back, take your report, and then they'll go tell you what the next steps are. But one thing I always encourage survivors to understand is be prepared for what's to come. The journey is hard, but it's definitely worth it because you're going to have to tell your story over and
Mm,
over and over again. And that's one thing I was never taught. Hey, you don't just go to the police station and report, and then that's the end, and they tell the story for you. No, you have to go to the police station and report. And if you're not in the right county, which is really important to be in the county that it took place in, then you
mm,
have to go to another county and tell the story again. And then from there, if they're getting indicted, then you have to deal with telling your story again. And if you go to trial, so it's that constant
mm.
retelling your story and re-traumatization that victims are not aware of. And sometimes that's what makes people afraid to even speak up and tell their story, on top of being worried about not being believed.
Mm, 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 mm.
So it's all about whether or not you want to report, and whether or not you really want to report. That way we can get you in on time if you're going to get a forensic exam, and if you decide to report later, we're going to make sure we take those steps. One thing I would encourage any supporter of a survivor: never force a survivor to report.
Now, it's interesting that you say that. What would be some of the reasons that you've come across, the reason why someone would not want to report?
May not want to.
Yeah.
Fear. I say fear of the elite. A lot of times, if you have politicians, actors, actresses, comedians, pastors, anything like that, then they're afraid to speak up because nobody's going to believe me. So then
That's
what am I
sad.
going to do? Uh, Family members. Sometimes it's in your own family. And we don't want to tell on Uncle Bobo for what he's been doing. We want to keep it in the family, so we don't tell. So there's numerous reasons. Embarrassment, religion. There's so many different reasons on why people may not speak.
Now, when you
If they're married and say they're raped by a stranger, they may not want their spouse to know.
mm, yeah, there's a whole lot of reasons. You said something about religion. You have any examples of why somebody wouldn't when it comes to religion?
If you're in a religion to where you're supposed to be a virgin to
Uh,
marriage and you're raped prior
hmm
to then,
hmm
you may not want to tell because now instead of it being looked at for what it is, a rape and someone's virginity being taken from them, people are afraid that I'm going to be looked at as I guess you would call it a whore or whatever because now my virginity is gone prior to marriage,
that's terrible.
even though it was against my consent.
Right, right. Mm-mm-mm. De La Sean Bordeaux, your story is amazing. The work that you do is amazing. Self love coach. You run a organization, nonprofit organization. Speak Our Truth. Again, please let everybody know where they can follow you at, where they can support at.
Yes, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, under Speak Our Truth or Delashawn Bordeaux. That's DeLashawn. Last name is Bordeaux, Bordeaux. And then you can go to the website, www.speakOurTruth.org.
Now, I would think that after people tell their story over and over and over again, that hopefully it should make them feel a little bit better now that they finally got it out. But I know it affects people, everyone differently. But typically, once you speak about something and you continue to speak about it and you get it off of your chest, you tend to feel a little bit better. So if
It
not,
gets easier.
yeah, yeah, like if not during when you're telling that story over and over again, if they get into some counseling, if they get into some group sessions, by the time they're come out on the other side, most likely, hopefully, under the right circumstance, they should feel like the whole weight has been lifted off of their shoulders.
Yes, and I would definitely recommend, if not coaching and therapy, at least therapy. Therapy is always going to help you to kind of regain that strength and feel better. Um, each time I went to therapy, it felt like a new weight was lifted off my shoulders.
Mm.
Just imagine, you start with 100 pounds, and each week it's like 10 more pounds being lifted. And so it's definitely helpful. It is hard though, because it took me a year to finally actually start having a conversation. I went to therapy for a year and talked about everything but what was going on with me. So it was
Oh,
hard.
okay. All right. Um, like I said, the past couple nights, we've had these powerful women come on and speak their truth, and this is amazing. We have someone in the building who runs an organization called Speak Our Truth. I got to give it up to all of the ladies that came through this week. It has been just amazing. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on into burning questions, which probably will tie hand in hand with which we're speaking about. Sometimes these burning questions have nothing to do with what we're speaking about, but it just happens to work out tonight. So this is Burning Questions, a segment of the show where basically I flip it and I put my guests in a hot seat, usually with some off the wall questions, but these questions tonight will go hand in hand with what we were speaking about. So basically, is it dysfunctional to continue to reach out to someone who basically has ghosted you after a disagreement? Now, if you think about what we just spoke about, um, somebody might be trying to reach out to you, you might be trying to reach out to them. Who knows what the situation might be? But when someone says, I'm pretty much done with this, I'm not answering, we call it ghosting, whatever, we shut it down. Is it dysfunctional for the other party to continue to reach out?
Absolutely. It kind of feels kind of stalkerish. If I've already told you that I'm not interested and we're not going any further, and you continue to reach out, it becomes uncomfortable. And at that point, I either got to block you or change my number. But some way I have to figure out how to get away from you because you don't understand.
Now, please do not say it like that. Please. And the only reason why I'm laughing is because I have been there. So please do not say it like
Oh, listen, I hope I didn't trigger you. I've been there too.
that. You did not have to say it like that. But because I used to be the one who would continuously reach out. But listen, what what if somebody is trying to, start the forgiveness process? Listen, you and I could go back and forth and we could have a disagreement. We could say all kinds of horrible things to each other. But then after you sit back and you think, you might be like, maybe I was wrong. So maybe let me reach out to this person and try to fix this situation because it went wrong. You know, so that's what
I
I'm
would
saying.
say in that instance, I'll call you, leave your voicemail, I'll send you a text. If you don't respond to those, then I have to assume you're not in a position to be ready for that forgiveness conversation. And I'll pull back because eventually, if you ever want it, you'll come back around and have that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess when it comes to forgiveness and all of that stuff, the other person probably really doesn't need to be present, even in a situation, with your organization and things like that. There is some forgiveness. Listen, I didn't forget, but I'm going to forgive. So maybe the other person's not a part of it.
Right. I've done that plenty of times where I have no choice but to forgive without getting the apology. And knowing that apology may never come, but it's just a forgiveness so that I can close that chapter in my life.
Mm. So profound. So, in your words, it's dysfunctional to continue to keep reaching out.
Yes.
Now, you trying to tell me you were never a stalker?
I was.
Hmm.
I
You
have
see,
played on both sides.
you see how you left me out there, right? You left me out there like I was the only one. Y'all know y'all was stalking somebody back in the day. Maybe it was the first situation you got into and you didn't know how to handle it.
I have definitely been that person, and it was just like, I really like you. I don't want to let it go. Why do you want to let it go? Let's just keep trying.
Oh goodness. Okay, so we're up against the clock. It's time to go ahead and get on up out of here. So, what are this is so important. All jokes aside, somebody out there, whether it's a young one, an old one, whoever, anybody out there, what message do you have for someone who's struggling right now with everything that we spoke about tonight? This message could potentially help the next person get some healing. It could bring some justice where it needs to be brought. What do you have to give to us?
I would say don't be afraid to get help. So many times we want to focus on doing it by ourselves. I'm okay and I don't want to look weak in the next person's eyes or I need to be strong. But we're not really able to fight that battle alone. It does require a support team. It requires a village. So I would encourage every survivor out there, don't be afraid to get help. And don't be afraid to overcome. Don't allow yourself to remain stagnant for fear of living your life because of what has happened. Take back your power
Mm.
and redefine your beauty that lies beneath the pain. Also, if anyone is out there and you do need help and you need someone to talk to because you have been a victim of sexual assault, there is the National Sexual Assault Hotline, and that number is 1 800 656 4673 or 1 800 656 HOPE. That is the National Sexual Assault Hotline. So if ever you're having a trigger or you're experiencing a crisis due to your sexual assault, please feel free to reach out to them or even contact me. I am here for your needs.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for that message. And I think you said one last thing, and hopefully I don't mess it up. But you said redefine your beauty. Say it for me again.
Redefine your beauty that lies beneath your pain.
There you go. Redefine your
Find
beauty.
out who you were before your pain entered your life. Who
Mm,
were you? Who were you supposed to be? What was your purpose?
mm. I love that. Yeah, because sometimes people can be thrown off course on anything and they forget who they were. They forget who they are. Forget about who they were. You're forgetting who you are. So that is
Very true.
so amazing. Thank you so much. I would love to continue this conversation another day. Hopefully, we can link up again. But thank you so much for coming through. I definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. You have a great day, and thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Take care now. Have a good night. Wow. Again, I have no idea what goes on, what's getting ready to go on during the 411. It happens. We have these people come in, they share their story, and it takes me to a whole nother level. I get asked so many times, what's your most memorable moment when you're interviewing somebody, when guests are coming on a 411? I would say those memorable moments are times like what just happened now. You know, I learn about my guests, I learn about all of them basically during the show as the show, unfolds. I speak to a lot of people, you know, hundreds of people, and things are getting booked well in advance. A month in advance, 2 months in advance. In some cases, it could be up to 3 months in advance. So the initial conversation sort of gets faded off until the night of the show. We run through, we do a quick sound check to make sure that the levels are good, but we really don't really get into the thick of the conversation until the actual show. And when it's life changing, like now, um, I just get so amazed by it and I get so thrown back by it. And I understand what needs to happen night after night when we continue to bring people on, such as what you heard tonight. French Air said her story the night before. The list goes on and on and on. So, got to give it up to these wonderful ladies that come in and share their story, pour out their pain, and therefore it is a cause for healing for multiple people. With that being said, most certainly could not do it without every single person out there. I don't care if it's one, two, three, 10. Thank you so much for everybody that comes through and supports the 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines. And I'm going to make my business to continue to bring you great guests that come through, such as tonight. If you'd like to support the 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines, do me a favor and click that link above all of my social media platforms. And you can go inside of the link at the top, go inside of Volume 1.5 Deliberation Remix Journal, and you can purchase my book for $7.99 or anything else. We got the Black Diamond, we got a bunch of different things inside the link. Anything that you purchase will help support and help keep the 411 podcast rocking and rolling and doing what we do. And with that, I just have to say thank you so much. That goes out to everybody out there on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, D-Live, Twitch, wherever you're coming from. Thank you so much. Tag your friend, comment. Let me know what you think about what you heard tonight, and we'll take it from there. That's what's up. Yeah, such bravery for all of the people that come through. But tonight was very special, and it takes a lot to be able to share that with so many people, pouring it out there, giving it to the world. Amazing. So now, of course, I could not do any of this without giving a very special thanks to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give you all the 411 podcast one more time. It's just amazing, and I'm so thankful to continue to do this time after time. Remember, 411 podcast right here daily, every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for Wednesdays. Wednesday, I have Reading Between the Wines, 8 p.m. Bring your ass, bring your bottle. We have a great time. This Wednesday, we have author David L. He's coming back again a second time around. So hopefully we can get him to open up and tell us a little bit more, maybe read some portions of his book on Reading Between the Wines. He kept it a little secret due to the release date. So now that it's past that, hopefully we get some more readings. But I'll see y'all tomorrow, 10 p.m. Thank you so much, and I'll see you. Take care now. Have a good night. Thank you so much. People out there on TikTok, I appreciate you for hanging in there with me. I don't know if you're still out there. CJ, I appreciate you. We had Shonda come on tonight. We had Bethany, Christopher. Definitely did the thing out there on Instagram. I appreciate you. Take care. Have a good night. And of course, people out there on Facebook, I appreciate you. Take care.